What if I told you the way you're coding right now is going to be obsolete in the next 5 years? Not because coding is dead, but because it's evolving fairly quickly. This isn't something new. 50,000 years ago, we were hunting. 12,000 years ago, being a farmer was a pretty lucrative thing. In the 90s, if you knew assembly, that was the only way for you to be a good developer. Towards the end of 2010, the term front-end and back-end developer were coined and it became a thing. So you shouldn't really be surprised if a new type of job role / what you do on a day-to-day basis comes up in the next few years. In this video, let's dive into why are VCs pouring billions of dollars into startups that make developers more productive? What change will it bring to your day-to-day? And most importantly, what should you do if these are the early stages of your software development career? These videos are usually meant for newbies, people who've been in the industry for more than 5 years, understand what's happening. But for everyone else, let's get right into the video. Point number 1. Being aware of where the world is moving. Things lose their novelty quickly these days. Back in 2008, it was unheard of people joining Google from India. Google was not a very big company, was still a startup. Very few engineers from India, if at all, made it there. In 2014, it was a very ambitious thing to do back in college. But today, it's not as crazy of an outcome. I would argue not just the salary, but the prestige that comes with it has saturated over time. A few years ago, back in 2010, the people who did end up joining a Google or a Microsoft ended up doing really well with minimal amount of risk. A good example here is Aarti and Shriram, if you've heard of them. Both of them moved from Chennai to the US to join Microsoft and eventually found a way around entrepreneurship. These companies of today are an OpenAI or a Perplexity. They're actually threatening the business model of Google and have crazy growth rates similar to what Google had back in the day. So the most obvious outcome for someone with not a lot of risk-taking capacity is to just try and join these companies, an OpenAI or a Perplexity. But of course, that's really hard. These companies rarely hire from India. Unless you're an expert, it's incredibly hard to get a research role or otherwise into these companies. But if you know where the market is moving, if you understand there are these companies that are eventually going to become extremely big and would require employees, maybe offload a bunch of their tech to India, it's a good idea to know what skills you need to learn to get there. Eventually, at some point, there will be more companies, there will be more competition. Someone in India will try to build something similar. And when that happens, the skill set is what will let you in the door, be it into OpenAI or a company in India. So step 1, the easiest way to not get replaced / saturated as a developer is to just find growing markets right now and understand what skills those companies need. Every company, if let's say it does not require a junior engineer, will always require a specialist, a senior engineer, someone who's being held accountable. And if you feel OpenAI is a stretch, there are a lot of AI wrappers that are doing extremely well and have similar growth rates, which require much less AI expertise and much more expertise into something like VS Code, Cursor being the best example for this. So you can always find a familiar stack in a company, something that gets you in the door. For example, recently I was contributing to DeepMind's JS SDK because I'm decently good at JavaScript or TypeScript and I understand how an LLM works. So the takeaway from this point is you are putting in the right efforts just to make sure you twist them a little bit in the direction of a high growth company, which right now is probably going to be a company in AI. What's the best place to find these companies? Just go to YC's company page, look at what companies are getting funded every batch. That'll give you an answer of what markets are being funded, which very obviously right now is AI. That takes us to the second point. The AI revolution is here. I had a podcast with one of my mentors from back in college who recently raised 100 mil for his AI startup, Contextual AI. The general learning from the call for me was AI is an extremely hot market that's being funded. But we've seen this in the past in various industries and some of these industries have plummeted. That's not true for AI. AI has been able to prove real use cases. For example, Satyam and Sargam, two developers I know, recently told me they've been 10x more productive thanks to using tools like Lovable or Cursor. They're moving much faster because they've embraced AI as a collaborator in their workflow. Is that cheating? Maybe. But here's the kicker. Unless you understand coding well, unless your fundamentals are clear, you will not be able to use AI effectively, if at all. It'll help you ship out MVPs, but as soon as you reach a mildly production-ready stage is when you'll start to see problems and you'll have to hire an expert or understand how to code. AI will not save you when the real problem comes. It'll just automate your mistakes. So unless your fundamentals are right, it's not going to lead you anywhere. Someone who's just been coding on the sidelines, if they've started to use AI now and they're feeling extremely powerful, very quickly they'll hit a wall because unfortunately the toughest part now depends on you and the easiest part has been delegated to the AI. This is in contrast with someone who's already a 10x developer. For them, probably the intern they've always wanted. Even though interns or junior engineers are usually much more fun to work with, it does do a bunch of things you don't want to do as a developer, which which is great. And I don't think any 10x developer is threatened by it at all. I think the people who are fearful are the people who are a little less skilled at the moment. The people who are stuck in the middle, they're also not non-technical, but they also don't know coding really well. And that's where the conundrum comes from. And if this is you, what you really need to do is tip towards the other side. Spend less time contemplating and more time building. That takes us to the next anxiety-inducing point. Who's getting replaced? All of these are speculations from my side, but I've divided developers into three parts. The repetitive coder that's mostly at risk, the mid-tier coder that needs to adapt a bit, and the high agency coder that's future-proof. Let's talk about the first category. As I said, if you're stuck in the middle, if you started to code because it was in your degree, someone told you make money here, you've been fairly on the sidelines, you have a college curriculum you're following, you've been able to do DSA, high probability either AI will replace you or you'll generally not get a job. Unfortunately, coding in the future doesn't look like a great option for people who are passively into it. That was something you could get by a few years ago. There was extreme demand of developers. Now there is extreme demand of skilled developers, and that small difference has filtered out a lot of the crowd. This first category is probably where at least 90%, if not more, of the developers lie. I know a lot of people, some people in my batch, which is, a computer science batch from an IIT. And over there, I'd argue, ratios are slightly better, but still not great. I still don't think like 70% of my batch is actually interested in CS. They've of course been able to make a place for themselves in big tech, but you'll see most of them have plateaued at a certain terminal level. A terminal level in a big tech company is a level at which you can stay forever but not get fired. And that's usually L4 and L5 at Google. That doesn't mean they're not doing great for themselves. That also doesn't mean they're getting replaced. But they've made this place over the last 6 months. So they most probably will be excused from the AI battle. But for you, if you're thinking of being on the sidelines and getting into the industry, high probability you're going to struggle a lot. And unless God saves you or a bull market does, you'll probably get really low paying jobs, if at all, which will lead to a lot of frustration. And hence, fair warning to anyone who's in this category, pick a side. There are a lot of things to do other than coding as well. At the very least, get into the next category. The mid-tier developer. This is someone who either has worked in a company for a year or two, or someone who can build CRUD applications, understands basic fundamentals of computer science, and has been able to show some value. You've gotten an internship, an entry-level offer, hopefully not from a consult, but a product-based company. And at this point, there is dependency on you, and most probably there will be dependency on you. AI can automate everything, but some architectural decisions, things going down from time to time, general accountability will be delegated to you, but you do need to upskill. At some point, your importance/need in the company may go down. And in the end, accountability might be the only thing you might be expected to provide. Everything else, you can just code using AI. And hence, it's not the worst thing in the world to aim for moving to the next category, the high agency coder. This really is someone who likes coding or computers a lot. There are early signs too. If you are this person, your learning curve is really high whenever a new technology, be it DSA, Dev, CN, DBMS is being taught to you. You actually like to go into the depths of things. That doesn't happen immediately. Unfortunately, it takes a few years for you to reach a stage where you like coding as well as your fundamentals get cleared. Coding has a chicken and egg problem where you can't do a little bit of one thing and hope to thrive here. Unfortunately, there are 10 different things you need to do mildly well to be able to call yourself a good developer. This could be things like computer architecture, compiler design, DBMS, operating systems. These are things that people would gladly pay for. If you know these skills, there's a high probability whatever company you are joining, you're going to thrive there because your learning curve is high. After AI, these people will thrive. There will be a lot of AI written messy code bases, and when that happens, you will at some point need an expert to help fix a bunch of your challenges. It's not like companies don't have budget for tech or development or coding. Not every company is out there waiting to replace developers. As long as the company is making money, which means tech is growing as a field or AI is growing as a field, people are actually finding value. The usage of tech products is going up. Tech companies will make money. When they make money, they will need employees, and they would 100% prefer someone who's an expert. And usually this person is someone who's been coding for years, likes coding, doesn't really code for the job, does it because they like it, and a job is just an outcome. They're usually juggling between offers. Guilfoyle from Silicon Valley is a decentish example of how they look and the way they behave. They're usually assholes, sometimes polite, but generally a resource a company would pay highly for. So strive to be in the third category. And if you're a complete beginner, step one is just making sure this is an industry you want to be in the long run for. There are many industries you can make money in. Finance is one, research, marketing, sales. You can make money everywhere. If you feel like coding can be your comfort zone, it's something you would like to do irrespective of any other outcome. Beautiful field to be in, not very hard to learn. The only thing is to make sure you want to stick to this industry for the next 5, 10, 20 years. All right, next point. Why do we need experts either? Why can't AI replace everyone and everything? That's a great question. And the answer is in the fact that you probably never needed developers. I once met a friend and I told him I'm interning at Amazon. And he said, isn't the Amazon website already out there? What are you doing? Why are you needed? Considering the website is up and running and we use it every day. That was a scary question back then. That why does Amazon need engineers and so many of them considering the app is up and running? And the answer is because these companies are constantly re-innovating / investing to make sure one, the existing systems are in place. More software is being built on top. There's a lot of legacy systems that you need engineers for. But two, historically, it's paid off to build a lot of products and try tech in a lot of industries. Every industry that you look at from the last 15 years has been revolutionized by tech. A very small example might be something like Google Maps or quick commerce, but all of these companies are being run at the backbone of developers, right? That's probably the most difficult part there. Some level of logistics. The same is going to be true for AI. So very high probability, every industry that we look at today, flights, hospitals, education, buildings, construction, will have some level of AI. The simplest example here is customer support. And when that happens, there will be a lot of businesses being built. They will most probably raise a lot of money because this is a high growth market and something new that's a 10x better product. Quick commerce is a 10x better product than going down and getting your groceries. Facebook was a 100x product in connecting you to everyone else. AI interviews is a great use case for AI today. That's one of many. If that happens, if AI is something that gets integrated in every industry out there, companies would raise money, they would want employees would be working on AI systems, backend systems, platforms, and they'd constantly reinvest to build the next big thing. It's very gray which business model will work right now. A lot of things were tried to finally release something like AWS or GCP. There was a lot of investment, failed experiments that finally led to that. The same thing will happen here. Most software developers, if you talk to them, they have never written any code that hit production, or a lot of their production code is deprioritized. If there was a company you were at 5 years ago, very high probability the code that you wrote is not being used anymore. So if software developers were to be replaced, it would have happened a really long time ago. You could have just built one thing and let it stay. But software just evolves very quickly. Even a small startup requires so many changes every day / systems to take care of that there will always be a need for people. The question really is, does it shrink? The answer probably is yes. But if it shrinks in one place, there's a high probability it increases in the other place. For example, today there'll be some new thing, let's say voice agents that are really hard to build. And then you need specialized engineers there and there's more hiring there. In the end, it boils down to the same thing. Become an expert in whatever you're doing. Make sure you're following the right market and then eventually you'll land somewhere. Which takes us to the next point. How do you become an expert in today's abundance generation? So a few years ago, it was really hard to learn anything, let alone learn how to code. You'd think with the abundance of content today, it would be really easy for anyone to learn how to code. And the answer is almost yes. The unfortunate truth is that we're drowning in abundance. Abundance of food, shelter, convenience, and most importantly, content. You want to learn AI? There's a free course out there on YouTube. Probably the biggest expert is out there on YouTube teaching you whatever you want. But too many options have led to too many choices and too much distraction. It's called the paradox of choices. When you feel like you can do everything, you end up doing nothing. It's really hard to focus on one thing and just build it. It's much easier to keep scrolling through content or copying projects. It's really hard to put in the efforts. So if this is you, if you know everything is available for free on the internet, you're just not having enough accountability. Strong suggestion, narrow down what you're learning. Could be a very simple thing, let's say a 3D game. If this is the first time you're exploring this tech stack, spend at least a month coding things yourself, reading about them yourself, maybe taking help from AI to just learn things and not make it code. After a month, when you're a mild expert in that specific technology, feel free to use AI as a junior engineer. Do not touch it in your learning phase generally. Try to look ahead a bit. You are not really looking to ship code in the next one day. You're looking to learn how to code. What's the famous saying? It's better to teach someone how to fish than give them the fish. So don't make AI give you the fish. Learn how to fish and then eventually use as much AI once you know how to fish. Until then, don't wait for the fish to be handed to you in a silver platter. It'll lead to short-term satisfaction that you've built something, but extreme dissatisfaction in the future when you know you can build projects or you've been able to ship some project, yet you're not getting a job, yet you don't feel motivated to code. You've just been able to push out some code because of AI, but your fundamentals still aren't clear. It's a fairly bad situation to be in. That takes us to the last point. The optimistic flip. Notice how GPT can do everything, but most of the money is being poured in replacing developers / making developers more productive. What do you think the reason for that is? Because they're traditionally the most expensive resource, and making them productive is much more valuable than making, let's say, a content creator or a content writer more productive. When the internet came out, people thought a lot of jobs would be replaced, and they did. You don't, for example, need a guard at your workplace. Your fingerprint or your face can be scanned and you can be let into a specific building. I'm taking a very nuanced example. Is that a bad thing that the job of the watchkeeper went away? Maybe. But was that an extremely redundant job? Yes. Can the watchkeeper do something else? Yes. Probably a better job that most probably will pay more as well. Was there anxiety during this stage for the watchkeeper? Yes. You're stuck in a similar stage. There is some probability that traditional coding or very specific coding or coding in a company in a specific stack does get reduced if not replaced. But also on the optimistic side, there'll be a lot of industries that will start to use AI. It's predicted that the change that came with big tech a few years ago, the kind of use cases you were able to build, the kind of distribution that it got, the kind of revenue that Google made, something much bigger will come from these AI companies. And when that happens, they would hire, probably for better roles, probably with lesser redundant work. And that's your opportunity to do better work and make more money. All of this is big speculation, but something that has happened over the years, over and over again. Whenever a switch like this has happened, that jobs in a specific industry have been threatened. I would still urge you to talk to a senior developer, someone who's been working for, let's say, 6 to 10 years, someone who does like coding, someone who's probably at a, let's say, 80 lakh to 1 CR mark in India, because most good developers reach there in 6 to 8 years. Talk to them. Ask how they feel about AI. Are they excited about it? Are they feeling weird? Do they feel their job will be replaced? Most of the time, you'll find them being fairly chill. They've worked in a company. They've seen how unoptimal systems can be. They've seen there are so many things that could have been replaced or should have been replaced a few years ago, but haven't. Tech moves really slowly. There are businesses running right now that you don't want to hurt by, taking a risk of firing 5 developers and just seeing how it goes. That's been the general thought and probably something that will stay. So rather than just cribbing from the sidelines, either embrace the field or leave it. If you do embrace it, it's a beautiful field. People who are on the sidelines leave, and people who are actually interested in it sort of become experts and lead the field. It'll probably become very close to being a doctor, both in terms of the number of years you have to spend to excel in a specific niche or otherwise, and in terms of the final outcome of you getting paid for your expertise / providing your services. So to conclude, 4 actionable steps to proceed from here. Number 1, start now. Pick a side. Either go all in here or find a different industry that works for you. Number 2, work on your fundamentals. Going to be super important in the long run, which I'm hoping is what you're here for. Number 3, experiment daily and make sure you're growing 1% every day. And lastly, take action, not excuses.